Hi everybody, today I want to cover a topic that is very dear to my heart and it's relating to productivity and priority management. It's the art of learning how to say no. And I finished reading this book recently and the title is The Art of Saying No by Damon or Zahariades. I probably butchered his last name, sorry. How to stand your ground, reclaim your time and energy, and refuse to be taken for granted without feeling guilty. And I think this is really important. As a resident and a student, I think no is usually not an option for you, just because as a pharmacy resident or student, you are the chosen one to do the grunt work, and you have to take in every opportunity that's given to you. Of course, you can negotiate deadline and timeline and talk to your preceptors to make sure that you are able to handle everything, but no is usually not a option for a resident or student. But as you approach to be a professional or working as a pharmacist fully, you have an opportunity to be more selective in the type of work that you chose and also the commitment that you're able to provide. So with that, I want to make sure that you have some skill sets as well, being able to use some of the tips that I share today. When I started as a student and a resident, and even beyond resident year, I had this compelling reason to always say yes when someone asks me, because I want to learn as much as I can. I want to be the sponge and absorb everything and every opportunity there is. And then I soon realized that I was near to the burnout of that stage. I wasn't completely burnt out, but I definitely felt like, wow, there's a lot of things I need to do, and had very little time for my family. And at that time, I was also taking care of my parents. So I felt like I wanted to do everything, yet I know my health-wise was suffering, my self-care was suffering, and I was putting other priorities above mine. Including I was taking care of my parents, so their priorities as well as above mine. And I felt like I was doing the right thing and I'm gonna keep doing, and I was just doing so many things to the point that I was just, end of the day, I was so tired and exhausted and didn't really have a lot of energy to invest in other things I'm really passionate about, or wanting to do, running or go hiking, or doing other traveling thing that I enjoy, or catching up with friends, things like that. So I felt like I needed to do something different. So for the past few years, I have done a lot of work and researching and learning and going to conference, reading a lot of books on productivity and priority management, and talking to many mentors about it. And I've come to realize that it's still a journey for me, but I have, compared to me now to me 10 years ago, I am much better when it comes to priority management and learning to say no. And the most important part that I felt with this journey is that guilt of when I say no is slowly evaporating. Just because I'm more selective of my opportunities that come, I actually felt more refreshing because I chose the type of work that I'm very, very passionate about. I could do a lot of things, but should I do a lot of those things? So could versus should. So I felt more invigorating because I was so selective in terms of my commitment that I'm able to deliver 100% of my time, and then also leaving me some time for my self-care and making sure that I'm not burnt out from that standpoint. So it's such a major topic nowadays that, especially in healthcare, where clinicians just continue on piling with work, taking on students, doing more projects, doing more with less. But then at the end of the day, you're so exhausted that you don't want to do anything else for yourself. And I think that's very dangerous. So being able to learn to say no without the guilt and say no gracefully is a very important skill set as a clinician to be a successful clinician. So with that, I want to share something from the book that I felt was very resonating with me. And it's a strategy that I have used thus far in the past few years that work really well. So when someone comes up to you and asks you to do XYZ, doesn't matter what it is, right? So it's a project, a favor, some project that will take a longer time, you have to ask more questions like, so when does it due? What does it involve? What skills are required? What is the deliverable that you're expecting of me? So those are all the questions, just so you can kind of get the scope of what's going on, how big of this commitment am I doing, and what is their involvement in the project when they ask you. Because I think it's also important to be transparent with that. And you know, some projects may take a month, some would take 3 months, some would take a week, or some could be taking 10 minutes of your day. But being able to manage your priorities, because if you're just letting folks to come to your office or come to your cubicle and say, hey, I have a question or a quick favor, and that quick favor turn into like a week worth of project. So being very selective by asking a lot of questions up front. Some folks may feel taken back when you ask those questions, but I think if you have someone who is respectful of your time, they should also be able to stop and answer a lot of those questions to you, so you be able to understand the scope. And once you ask all those questions that I just mentioned, if it's something within your bandwidth to do, then yes. And it's something, my test is always, is this something that will expand my skill set? Is this something that I'll be able to learn additionally on a project? Or is this something I already been able to take on additional with my current workload? So you have to ask yourself those questions, and you have to know. So that's why it's so important to go back to the priorities. Like, you have to know what are your priorities, what are some of your deadlines and deliverables that you already had on your plate, and can you take on more? And the question is, could you do it versus should you do it? So you could do a lot of things, but should you do those things? So that's really what it boils down to. Another important point that they also make is, you know, in terms of being able to negotiate timelines, like they say, hey, this is due a week from now. Well, I'm sorry, I have this other project I need to do, so I can't commit to this because XYZ. So being able to know the timeline that is relating to is really important. And last but not least is saying, you know, I really appreciate you asking me, but I have XYZ and it needs to be delivered by this timeline, and I don't think I can commit to your project because of it. So you kind of telling them what's on your plate and what you're capable of, and you don't want to say yes but not able to deliver 100%. The other strategy is once you hear all the scope of the request, being able to refer them out to an individual that will be better served and help them additionally what they're requesting. I think that would be very important, because sometimes you can refer them out or help to delegate, or being able to provide them guidance, but then let them do the majority of the work, if all possible. So I think it really depends on the relationship and the project, but the most important part to recap is that be selective with the project and opportunities to take on. Ask a lot of thoughtful questions. What, when, where, how, what's the expectation of me? Think about what's on your plate already. Can you have extra bandwidth to take it on? Is this gonna give you new skill set? Is this gonna give you more visibility with leadership or with other team out there? Will this give you more clear latitude What will it bring to you once you say yes to this project? And lastly, once you say yes to this request, project, whatever, favor, what are you saying no to? And I think that's really crucial for you to think about. When you say yes to something, what are you inherently saying no to? Are you saying no to exercise? Are you saying no to family time? Are you saying no to spending time with your significant other? Are you saying no to doing other hobbies? Are you, like, what are you inherently saying no to? Or are you saying no to another project that you already committed? So being able to think of it that way will help you realign and be more selective and be more cognizant when you say yes. And lastly is know the reasons why you say yes. Like I kind of shared before in the other video, is that for me, I think the main reason, some of the reasons why I say yes is I want to be providing resource to people. I want to help others as much as I can. I want to feel like be valuable in terms of the expertise that I provide. So all those, I'm a people pleaser, so being able to please individuals, because I don't like to see people walk away with a frowny face or like feeling like, oh, wish Ann can help me. So those are the reasons why I say yes, and being able to be aware of those reasons help me to realign. I don't have to do all those things. I can make sure that I'm be selective with my priorities and be able to help others and also help myself. I don't have to necessarily do it all. There are other individuals that you can refer out or help them to do the thing they need to do. With that, I will close. I hope you find this helpful. If you have other topics or tips that you have regarding learning to say no, please post it below. First and lastly, I appreciate you and your time. Just know that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to others. Thank you.